Kill Bill! It's Kill Bill! We're killing Bill!
No.
It's not Kill Bill!
It's Killowen. It's David Carradine, you lunatic.
All right. I knew it was one of those guys. They're all dead anyway. Who cares?
How are you today, Justin?
I'm brilliant. I'm fantastic. I'm over the moon. People still think I'm full from being at Killowen yesterday, but I wasn't full at all. I was only slightly tipsy.
No, well, you were singing on the way home. I
was singing. That's right. I was singing. Am I allowed to say it? I'm not allowed to say it. I can't even say what I was singing. Can I? It's a secret. That Gloria. It's a Van Morrison song, and it's fantastic branding. I can just see Van singing the song and denying COVID.
and saying that Robin Swan, the health minister, is very dangerous. He's about 4'11".
I bet he's ex-military. He probably is very dangerous.
Well, I don't know. He might be able to blow you up, but no.
I think he would be able to handle himself. I tell you what, he's handled himself extremely well in this ongoing pandemic, hasn't he? If he doesn't get the knighthood, there's something wrong somewhere. You know, I'm going to be.
He's played his hand as best as he could. I think he's done himself well. Proud,
if anybody from the cabinet office is watching, listen, Robin Swan.
He's not dangerous. Don't listen to Van Morrison. When Ian Paisley Jr. is the voice of reason and sanity in the room, you know you're gone. You've lost it.
It's a great week we've got this week, Marty, isn't it?
It is. We got out. We've been down. Take a loan. We done a live stunt. Got a t-shirt.
Never
got the t-shirt.
Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt to prove it.
So
that's what I was going to call this show, but I forgot. Yeah, that's right.
We got let off the lead. Went down, had a few words with Brendan, seen what he was at, got some insights into some new stuff. And that was all good. The week of whiskey's coming up, and then it's coming home. It's coming home. I wonder what's Italian for it's coming home. It's coming home. We've got Richard from the English Whisky, Exploring English Whisky. So he's going to come on and tell us about the English Whisky Festival. He's going to come on and talk live to us. So, action-packed show, Justin, as always.
Hit the button, shall I?
Hit it. Still a round of applause for that, my son. Still a round of applause for that.
It's good. It is good. What's first this week then?
Well, we can't skip this story because there was lots of people talking about this week. It's the biggest whiskey story of the week. It's a 59-year-old bank manager from Coventry who bought 2 casks of whiskey almost 30 years ago. In 1994, he bought a cask of Macallan for £3,200 and a cask of Tobermory for £1,500. Now, the idea was he was going to buy it as an investment,
right,
and to hopefully make some money on it. Now, if you put £4,700, which is what he paid for the 2 casks, into an inflation calculator, just to see what it would actually cost in sort of inflationary terms today, that's about $6,500 he spent, about £6,500 for the 2 casks. Okay.
Basically, this guy's robbed the bank without going to Coventry afterwards, hasn't he?
Well, what he's done, he was going to retire in 3 years' time, but he's found out that he has over 4,000% return on his investment, and they're now worth £250,000. So
£250,000. That's like winning the Thunderball or the Daily Play or something like that, isn't it?
So he's going to retire 3 years early. It's actually, the cash is tax free because the casks are classed as a wasting asset by Majesty's Revenue and Custom, the tax man. So he's quoted as saying, "I remember thinking, if it doesn't appreciate in value, the worst that could happen is that you could go to the warehouse, bottle it, and drink it. So he's done all right for himself. And another warm and hearty congratulations. Well done to that man. He
hasn't half done all right for himself.
Well, I mean, a 30-year-old bottle of Macallan, just ordinary retail when they come out. I mean, you're talking £4,000 or £5,000 a bottle now, and the collectible ones, that's them selling you 30-year-old Macallan, not single casks. So yeah, it's without question the most collectible of whiskies. It just is. I mean, they always fetch phenomenal amounts of money. So good investment for him. Well done. Congratulations.
I mean, he's almost sort of bucked the trend of what you actually get if you put money into the bank, hasn't he?
Well, sir, I mean, interest rates, this is why collecting whiskies went through the roof. It's the same as lots of collectibles. You don't get any interest keeping money in a bank. So collecting stuff's fun. So why not do that? Collect some stuff. And that's what he's done. He's put money into something. He put his money where his mouth is. So, yeah, good on him.
Good on him. Definitely. That's a good one. Now, where are we heading now? We're
heading to The Chase.
Oh, our favourite show.
One of my favourite shows. Only Fools and Horses is the favourite show. That's second. Don't you shake your head. Don't. Not interested. No room for negotiation on that one. The Chase this week, there was a question about whiskey. The main ingredients of the Scottish Dick's Rumpledy Thumps are potatoes, onions, and what else? The answer was cabbage, right? But one of the choices was C, whiskey. And Claudia 158-33744, who obviously has a lot of time on her hands, got very irate at this because they didn't spell whiskey correctly in her opinion. But Anne Hegarty, who was the chaser on that show that day, called her out on it. So she says our AMD is Irish. They and the Americans spell it with an E. then the vixen Jenny Ryan comes smashing in, and she says, not a spelling error, actually a clue to help the contestant get the correct answer. The Scottish dish wouldn't use Irish whiskey. It's only whiskey, no E, if made in Scotland. E. Glenfiddich, Lefroy, whiskey Bushmilk. So your woman's all impressed by this. But I thought it was funny. I thought it was the fact that two of the chasers called her out on it.
Yeah, actually, I think we actually have the clip here. I think we actually have the clip.
Well, this is the clip. This is just the clip of the question.
Yeah, it's quite good. This one, it is. Here we go.
The main ingredients of the Scottish dish Rumpledy Thumps are potato, onion, and what else? A, cabbage, B, kippers, C, whiskey. Oh yeah. Now we're talking. That's what I call a dish. You've put cabbage. Yes.
I thought they kind of go together.
A bit like cold cannon, the Irish cold cannon, but without the onions in it, sure.
It's not going to be whiskey.
A bit like Bubblin's Greek, isn't it? Got to be. To go through with 5 grand, correct answer is? I've never heard of it, to be fair. Well played. Full house.
Brilliant.
53 grand. Thank you very much. Good night. Yeah, as you say, it's Scottish bubble and squeak. Brilliant stuff. Hey, congratulations.
Thank you, darling.
Could have gone for it. Might have put it.
There was a lot of money involved there, wasn't there?
Oh, why? 50 odd thousand. So they didn't win it, but they hammer as usual. It's just hanging there from them, and then comes the chaser and just takes it all from them. But no, good on them.
I know it's a good one. Now somebody's celebrating 25 years this year, a quarter of a century.
Yeah, the game franchise Resident Evil celebrates 25 years this year, and to mark the event, they've partnered up with Glenfarclas, one of the big respected distilleries in Scotland, and they're going to release a 25-year-old cask strength bottle. Now it's going to be called Biohazard. It's due for release on the 21st of July. Now, I think it's a
catchy name, Marty, isn't it, for Resident Evil, isn't it?
It is. But that's a subtitle for Resident Evil, because it was actually a series of books in Japan before it got released. Now, I think this is only going to be released in Japan. unfortunately. But again, if you know anybody in Japan and you think this is something you'd like to have, it is available. It's going to be available.
Hey, it's available, but you can't even get to be a spectator at the Olympics in Japan. Never mind get Biohazard 25th anniversary. It's a bit prophetic. This Biohazard Japan.
Well, you don't know. I don't know what's going to happen at the Olympics, but there's not going to be any fans at it, or very few fans. It seems. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Resident Evil, by the way, is Capcom's best-selling video game. It's sold 110 million games.
Wow.
Units. And if you include the film adaptations and all the other stuff, the new TV series, it's actually the highest-grossing horror franchise ever. And just by the way, as far as I'm aware, there's never been a horror film that's ever lost money. It's the most successful genre of film. So there you go. I don't know why there's not more of them made.
You'd wonder why there's not more of them made.
But that's, as far as I'm aware, that's a true fact.
Right. Okay. We were talking about that today. My favorite horror movie, and I don't even like them, is The Wicker Man with Edward Woodward. The remake with Nicolas Cage wasn't much good.
No, no. But my favorite's probably still The Exorcist.
Funny enough, he just messaged me there now, I think, actually.
The Exorcist, in case anybody doesn't know, The Exorcist, my ex-neighbour, who used to come in and make all my spirits disappear.
Yes.
because he's a wild man. He's in his mid-70s, and he can drink like an absolute fish. He's a hard man to sit with.
Tell me this, what are you drinking tonight? And we'll give people a mention while you tell us about it.
It's an oatmeal stout cask finish Killowen. That's what I'm having.
Ooh.
I haven't actually had it for a little while. To be honest.
Mark Kerr saying hello, Connor saying hello, Julie saying hello, Tony Sillett saying hello, Patrick Mulkey saying hello, Robert Gustafsson, good evening to you, is saying good evening. Sean McLaren saying hello, and who else is saying hello? John Dunn. Why is Marty on the wrong side? I have this thing, Marty must always be to my left as you look at it. Isn't that right? But Marty doesn't realize this, but it's the way we always do it. It's to do with the set dressing and all the rest of it, and the size and the shape of the graphics that we use. Because some graphics look better single screen, and some look better in 3, and some. Well, anyway, so there you go. I have to do all this, by the way. Marty only has to enjoy the drink.
Yes, Marty doesn't watch any of this. Justin always says to me, he sends me like clips of this, and he says, "Well, what do you think?" And I never watch it because I think I don't watch it because I can't. It does my absolute head in.
Mike John Dunn spotted something. This is the first show that you haven't done in the black jumper. That's actually wardrobe. He specifically keeps that black jumper fresh and clean only for this show, and he doesn't wear it anywhere else. This is actually true. This is the first time you've worn anything but the black jumper.
But this is for a special purpose, Justin. This is a special reason for this, as you well know. Because we were let off the lead to get out and about. So So
John Fleming saying he loves the Killowen Distillery merchandise. Yeah, it is good. I prefer the product myself.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. This is fabulous. But like this, if you've seen I have pretty much all of my cologne that's opened sitting over here. I should clear the table. Whenever we're doing a wee interview, I'll clear the table and produce it up here just to see how much of it I have. John
Fleming says that's the Dad's Army music. That sort of news music. It is a wee bit Dad's Army. It's retro news music. It is.
Yeah, I like it.
And there's Tony Sillett coming up with the correct thing to say. It's coming home. Il suro todo a casa. Yes, there we go.
You're going to sing just one cornetto here in a minute.
Well, I had a cornetto today. You bought me a rink of ice cream. That was good enough. That was good enough. Google Translate. I ain't that clever. We do have. We know Claudia. She is fluent in Italian. Very lovely girl too. James Moore Doherty are saying good evening, everyone as well. And Julie Mason is saying tonight I am enjoying the lovely Cluj But I can nearly speak. Cues, but I can nearly speak. It's as well. I don't know Irish anyway. It's the 12th from Killowen. I was fortunate to be able to visit the wonderful Killowen Distillery this week and meet Brendan, the creator of all those beautiful spirits. Very warm welcome and loved the visit. Yes, you took loads of photographs. It was fantastic. Robert Gustafsson, of course he should retire. Must be stressful to be a bank manager. Very good.
Yeah.
They're coming thick and fast tonight. Brendan Carney's watching. There he is. The man himself is watching.
Of course he is.
He's watching.
Brendan, it's a miracle Brendan gets any time off.
That man doesn't have 2 minutes to himself.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
Do you know what he needs to do, Marty? He needs to clone himself. He needs to clone himself, and that way he would be able to operate a distillery in County Antrim as well. You know.
Yeah.
Mark Kerr starts to unscrew the chandelier in Marty's attic. Oh yeah, he loves. Oh yeah.
Only Fools and Horses reference for anyone who doesn't know.
It is. Actually, there's a big chandelier like that not far from you, isn't there? In the big house. Biohazard sound. Do we have a biohazard sound? I probably do have a biohazard sound somewhere.
Sounds delicious.
I will throw it in.
Sounds delicious is what I say.
Oh yes, Tony Sillett is saying "Carry On Screaming" his favorite horror movie. I love it. Harry Corbett's in it, isn't he? Yeah, he is. Or your man?
I can't remember. All them Carry On films, all the hours running around making sort of puerile little jokes about Barbara Windsor's chest.
Sid James wasn't available, and there's Brona. Oh, do we have to give Brona a mention as well again this week? Don't we? Because
that's a different Brona.
I know it's a different Brona, but I was thinking of that. We still have to mention her. I forgot about that because I haven't queued that up this week because I don't have a wee girl from the clipboard section at the BBC to do that for me, so I have to do it myself. Peter Stewart is saying, when I was young, Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing scared me. He scared me in The Man with the Golden Gun, but all the other ones, and I like
Christopher Lee scared an awful lot of people because whenever they were making Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson said to Christopher Lee, you know, if you're going to chop someone's head off, you know, this is the sound that we're going to put in. Christopher Lee says, when you chop someone's head off, that's not the sound they make. Peter Jackson didn't know Christopher Lee was in the Special Operations Force during the Second World War and had chopped the heads off actual people, so he knew what it sounded like.
Yes, legally,
Christopher Lee was a very scary man.
Legally, of course, magic, the word German, so it was all right. Now, there's Shane Foley. I'll get caught up tonight because we've got so many people to mention. We're in treble digits already tonight, people watching. Pinot Noir, glass not from the wine. Oh, we've got two guests tonight. I better hurry up, actually.
Aye.
Robert, right, we'll leave that until later. We'll come back to your mentions. If you want to shout, just comment and share. What's next, Marty?
Next up, Redbreast 27. Now, it's the oldest permanent bottle of the Redbreast family. And it's received the highest possible award from the Beverage Testing Institute, the BTI. Now, it got 100 out of 100. Now, it's not unheard of. It's got it before. Other spirits have got it before. But it's really influential because the Institute offers a consultancy to drinks companies and research services. So what they do is they test how the product, how it looks, how it tastes, all of this kind of stuff, and provides this back to the industry if needs be, if people pay for it, obviously, and then add a consultancy. So they're extremely well respected. This is not your average Joe. This is actually a consultancy testing your product, and they give something 100 out of 100. To put it into perspective, the highest ranking Scotch got 95. So for an Irish whiskey to get full marks is phenomenal. Just to put it in context, Black Bush got 93. Also did the Dark Silky, by the way, James.
Oh, yes.
Well done. Well done, because that's a hell of an accolade. So for Redbreast 27 to get full marks is commended, very commendable. Well done.
It's
€500 bottle, and it's part of a permanent range, so you can always get it.
And finally tonight in the news, a couple of new releases to cover, do we?
Yeah, well, I called this up because it's my poster behind me. McAllister's. Now, they're nothing to do with these guys. This is a historic, proper old poster from my beloved Ballymena.
Yeah.
But McAllister's Distilling Company, need to make a distinction there because there's stuff going on. I'm not really going to talk about it. But McAllister's Irish Spirits have released 2 bottlings under the Clan Cola which is up here. Just cut out the full page.
Yeah. Hold on. Here we go. Yep, there we go. Yep.
See, Clan Cola up here.
Yeah.
So they brought out 2 releases. First up's a 19-year-old single malt, finished American white oak, bourbon cask, finished in Oloroso butts. Extremely limited, so I don't know what that means. €200 a bottle, 46%, and an 11-year-old blend at €80. Double distilled, blend it with grains, triple cast in ex-bourbon, Oloroso sherry, and peanut casks. Now, it's nothing to do with Ballymena, but I just thought I would bring it up.
Yes, great stuff. Now, before we speak to Richard at the Exploring English Whisky, which we've spoken to before, but they've changed their name in between times, which is, we'll find out more. But
as is their want to do, Justin. You can change it if they do.
Yes, but we have this wonderful video of our visit to Brendan at Killowen. So without further ado, here we go on a little trip down to Killowen. So we'll be back. We're here. We're live. We can see what you're saying. So keep commenting, and we'll be back talking to Richard in about 70 minutes' time. So here we go. So we're in the mountains of Mourne today. Can you guess where we are? I'll give you a clue. It's very easy to find. No, it's not. It's hidden, and it's hidden for a reason, because there's lots of good stuff here. The man himself is standing to my left, and Marty is standing to my right. Here we go. We're at Killowen.
Nice. Now, here we Brendan.
Yeah.
Currently at Killowen in its entirety, essentially, and this is where it all happens. So this is,
that is a Christor.
and where'd that name come from?
He's named after a young fella who was very fondly thought of from around the guys around this area. So yeah.
Excellent. And the baby one.
That's Brock.
And what's that from?
Brock's the Irish for badger. A bit more of a playful name this time. That's still before it got its long neck. We had designed it and it was a small, close to the ground type still, like it's reminded us of a badger. So, there you go, Brock the badger.
You're running gin here at the minute.
That's right, today is a gin day, so the first time we've been running gin in a long time, and we've been making a lot of plated pot still up until today. So we're using this thumper keg, which we also use for making rum. We're using it for gin as a gin basket. So it's a mediatory between the still and the condenser here.
Now, explain a thumper keg. What is a thumper keg?
Thumper keg is more of a technology taken from the southern states of America.
Yeah.
And they also use it for making, down in the Caribbean, for making rums. So we use it in this case as a gin basket. So if we were to use 2 of those in a rum manufacturing process, it would equate to an extra distillation.
Yeah.
So one of these is like an extra half a distillation. So we're running our gin up through this still at the moment. And that vapour is coming down in through, and it's infusing. It's being infused with the gin botanicals. So those native botanicals we harvest around the local area here.
Yeah.
And whenever the spirit then comes out, you get all of those lovely fresh botanical notes.
And it's wonderfully oily too. It's real oil to it,
Great. And those are the hearts coming out right now of the gin. So
this is what folk will be drinking. This is what they end up going into a bottle.
Yeah.
Now that coming off there, what's that running out at?
It should be coming out at around, I would say, 75 at the moment. Yeah, and that would be very constant right up until the end, and then start to drop very dramatically. So.
Now, one of the things I can feel coming off the still here is the heat. And it's coming below the brick. This is gas fired.
Yeah.
Right? Now explain, I know you've done this before, but explain to people why you gas fire. Why do you direct flame fire?
Right, so it's all about the whiskey. So we wanted to start making whiskey, and in order, we wanted to make it in our own way. And that was whiskey that we couldn't taste anymore. So we wanted to taste whiskey with Maillard reaction. So the Maillard reaction is very important to us. It adds another dimension of flavour and character to the spirit. Now that Maillard reaction is when you use fire at the base of the still, and then whenever the proteins, which are amino acids, and the sugars combine together and they char together and caramelise at the base of the still and create that lovely burnt note that we get in our food.
I've always been. I read a great.
We're going to overflow. Everything's on my hand here.
Only overflow. Hang on.
So do you remember that pipe we took out to stop that noise? We're just going to have to...
Oh, put her back on again. There we go.
Nice.
Now, the way it was described to me was, what happens is, when you get that browning, you create what's called the flavour cascade. I thought that was a really good way to do it.
Yeah.
And basically, it's the difference between frying and boiling your food, essentially. It basically cooks it if you boil it, but there's no flavour in it.
That's right.
And that's essentially what you're doing here.
Hi, would you rather like a barbecued steak or would you rather a boiled steak?
Boiled steak. Boiled fillet steak, yeah. But, when they do the sous vide cooking, you heat it through and then sear it, but it's the searing that gives the flavour. Basically, you're just cooking it like that.
Yeah.
Now, this is coming off here. At the minute, you're running it through the thumper keg into your condenser, your heat exchange, or cooler, and then out here.
That's exactly it.
This is basically how it all works.
It's very remedial technology. This is the old way of doing it.
Yeah.
Fire to heat the still. And in fact, our condenser itself is a worm tub.
Yeah.
So instead of using shell and tubes, which are incredibly efficient, it's like if you were to open a door, for instance, in a hot room, all of the warm air would rush out very quickly. So the more of a... There we go. That's going to happen now for a few seconds. So the more of a... draw that you have in your still, because it's cooler and it's much more efficient. It means that there's going to be less time for that, for that gas, that steam to be inside the still. So because we're using a worm tub, which is less efficient, it creates a draw on the still which isn't as intense, and then less of a draw, in other words. And then that gas is staying in there for longer. It's interacting for longer with the copper. And the more interaction with the copper, that means that there's less of those sulfates, and the more, the less goes off notes that we're getting.
Right. Essentially, I know you've said before, whenever you're using the thumper keg, that's when you're doing your whiskey. Yeah. You're double distilling. It's rum primarily you put through the thumper keg.
That's right. Yeah.
So your whiskey doesn't go through the thumper keg. No,
definitely not. Yeah. So that's where it's good to get it back in action. Yeah. We stuck it up there today. So the thumper, we use it for rum. Again, rum can be a bit aggressive because we have such a high molasses content in the rum as well. And you've even tasted, how much molasses is actually in our rum. You can taste it, which that's the flavour that we're after. But we're trying to pare back a little bit of that aggression. We want it to be ready sooner for consumption as well. So we want to get our rum out there in the market and people drinking it instead of waiting for a number of years. So we're putting it out there after 6 months, which was amazing when we done that at the time. It was very palatable, and that's because of that extra half the distillation basically in that thumper keg. Well, that's how the science works in our minds, and it's going all right so far.
Yeah, well, it's been going all right. Now you rum out, and it was massively well received, really well received. When's the next lot of that coming? When do we wait for more rum to be coming?
We're ready as soon as we can get a chance to get it into the bottle. We get it out there, and this one's actually got a new twist. Okay. So it's gone through the Solera system. It's gone through the bourbon casks, the heavily charred casks. It's gone into the PX cask at the end for finishing. But this time we took that and it's over a year now, and it's sitting in a different sort of a cask. So it's offering quite a unique flavour, and it's just a one-off. So this next one's going to be pretty remarkable. Well,
the first one was pretty remarkable. I thought it was absolutely fabulous. Now, when people come to a distillery, what they expect is guys, big outfits with massive keg, massive maturation, and so on. Brendan's went a little bit, well, we say bijou really. It's a bit small. The whole distillery itself is basically one shed. I mean, it's a shed divided into 3 parts. So how do you innovate? How did you innovate enough? Get that in your head, right? I can do this and move things about. I know you're an architect, so maybe that's the skill set you need, is it?
So in terms of trying to be efficient with the space, that and a very tight budget, with a non-existent budget at the time, and then just trying to cram as much into small space as possible.
Yeah.
There was also working within the building regulations in terms of the fire escapes, you know, even normal things like accessible entrances, accessible toilets, and fire regulations, very important too. So although there is fire play here within the ATEX regulations, there's anti-explosive lighting and whatnot. So and the only sockets are at the far end of the building, within distance from the shed, from the distance from the stills, from the source of fire. So there's a lot. There's a lot to be considered in such a small space. Although it might look a bit thrown together.
Well, the thing about it is, I think that sort of feeds into your innovative sort of mindset. You know, you have very limited resources, very limited space, you're very limited everything essentially. So being innovative feeds into what the whiskey's doing as well. So I mean, you're regarded, and rightly so, as one of the innovators of Irish whiskey.
But that's pretty humbling to hear that, to be honest with you.
No, but it's true. I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of big guys looking at what the like of Killowen's doing, especially what Killowen's doing.
Yeah, but I suppose it's easier to turn a dinghy than it is to turn the Titanic. You know what I mean? If you've got a big company, and we've been here to the ground about what consumers want, because we see ourselves as consumers of whiskey. So we turn around and we think, right, you know what I'd love to taste? You know what's not in the market right now? What we just do is go make a cask of it and get it out there. And next thing you know, we get the labels turned around, the cask turned around, and push it out there.
Yeah.
And so that's I think that's the strength we have. If you're running a multinational conglomerate,
I like the way you say you turn around the labels. That's got the black market right in, Brendan, is it?
that's right too. Yeah, so when you're under siege by whisky authorities who are reporting you to, you know, unnecessarily to government authorities, all you have to do is scribble it out. So it's easier to scribble out a few hundred labels than it is to
but a whole lot reprint it. Now you run tours, you let people come up here and do a tour. A tour doesn't take a huge amount of time here, let's be honest, because you'd see it all in 2 minutes. But
Marty, we've been here 6 hours already.
so I'm trying to sober up. But the thing is,
good man, Justin.
but when you come here, you actually get touching the stills. You can come in here and see the things in action and get to actually see every stage of it hands on. You don't get that in any other distillery tour. You just don't. For regulations and the way they have it, and the fact that they're much bigger operation and so on. But when you come to Killowen, you actually get, do you want to open this? Or the whole process and all that you're doing, you're quite happy to share everything that you're doing here at the moment.
It's much more, you can relate to it then as well. You can understand the process.
Yeah.
When you go into a large sterile plant and you can see, you know, one's a wort cooler or whatever, and it moves into this different vat, which is a temporary vessel before it moves into another vessel. And you've got all of the, you just get confused very quickly.
Yeah.
But when you've got this laid out to you in a very clear, concise diagram for tours, that's basically people come to these tours and get educated and understand the process. I remember going to Irish distilleries when I was younger and tours and not having a clue what was going on. All you can see is a factory. You know, when the science is out in front of you here, and you're basically mixing the grains together, and it's just much more understandable, you know.
And it's also much more understandable because I know that you've put on a little bit of biceps and that. You know, this is basically agitators.
Elbow grease, yeah.
So this is how things are stirred in Killowen. You know, basically big paddles.
That's right.
When they go into the mash tun. Now, you have the bottling coming out for Belfast Whisky Week Festival.
That's right, yeah.
Now, do you want to tell us a little bit about that, or keep it under wraps?
Aside from making these lovely old mash bills, which we're very vocal about, making these, you know, really interesting mash bills, we also focus on bonding and blending. So we get liquid from different distilleries, fat them together, blend them together, put them into casks, creatively age them and finish them, and stick them out to the market.
Yeah.
With no added colour, no filtration, cast strength.
Zero filtration.
This time we got this lovely single malt, from the north of Ireland. We're not allowed to say where the liquid comes from.
All right. Oh yeah. All right.
So we have a tiny bit of that.
All right. You're lucky it's not live.
So so it's absolutely delicious. And I never tasted that expression in a port cask before. So we got this bloody amazing port cask from northern Juro, and you want to see the gunk that was in that cask before we cleaned it out. And even while we were bottling it off, there was like, you know, the residue inside it was like the tea leaf, and it conked out our bottling machine for many times. But we ended up just filtering them by hand, you know, and bottling it then, because there was just too much residue to be in the cask. So to be in a bottle. It's alright having a bit of char now and again, but when you're getting this hummus almost, it was a bit too much. We got this beautiful this beautiful whiskey now, and it just tastes like something else. And the European oak as well has offered a hell of a lot more spice.
Yeah.
So with that standard of single malt, a lot of those flavours that you'd expect aren't actually there. You know, so it's gone quite down a different road, but it still has that DNA that's quite recognisable, and it's absolutely delicious. So it's a lovely expression, and not just that. Belfast Whisky Week is something that we had to. You go at it with the kitchen sink and everything. You just don't leave anything behind. Do your best.
I think. Let's be honest with it. I mean, Paul needs his congratulations because what he's doing is just amazing.
So
reverse changeover.
This is the.
Don't you hold that for you?
Sorry, so this is just a big, this lovely
This is
gin.
yours.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you remember Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
Oh yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
I'm Sean Connery, am I?
Yeah, exactly. He drinks out of the thimble. I'm just going to have to throw this.
Ordered to you.
Pour it in our gin bar.
This is how things are done at Killowen.
Lovely jubbly.
You know, nothing's done on a big scale around here. It's just a remarkable place. Now, tours, how do you book tours?
Yeah, so online through the website. The website's been held up a bit because we've got this fantastic designer, but he's totally engrossed by Belfast Whisky Week and also Two Stacks. So he's totally going. So as soon as he gets the moment, we're going to launch it. It's absolutely beautiful, and you can book online.
Yeah.
In the meantime, people are just torturing us at info@KillowendDistillery.com.
Yeah.
So we're getting tours every week anyway, regardless.
Yeah.
So 1 o'clock on a Saturday normally.
1 o'clock on Saturday. What price?
£32. And that
32.
includes tasting of gins, new makes, whiskies, tea and coffee at the end, and a good bit of crack. And if there's a group bigger than 8, you're getting live music by an Ellen Piper who lives in Million here. So
What more do you want? You mentioned Two Stacks there.
yeah.
Explain about Two Stacks and Killowen, how that
Yeah,
works.
so Killowen, the founders of Killowen Distillery are Shane McCarthy, Liam Brogan, Brendan McCarthy, and at the same time, Two Stacks then was founded by Liam Brogan and Shane McCarthy. So they're very good expertise at, understanding whiskey and exporting alcohol around the world.
Yeah.
They've been showcasing the best of Irish produce around the world for about 7 years now. They deserve a lot of kudos for that. And a lot of the consumers are looking at whiskies that they don't really have in the country at the minute. So the guys were able to step foot forward. Share a lot of the same ethos as Killowen, integrity bottlings.
Yeah.
And a lot of bold moves, a lot of very affordable whiskies for the quality.
Yeah.
And right now they're working on something very special with really old spirit, making it as affordable as possible for the consumer. So it's a good way to go. And so right now, they're working on a really interesting. I don't want to talk too much about it because they're going to get it out there.
Absolutely.
So yeah, but it's and Donald McGlynn as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Donald McGlynn is another owner of Two Stacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are lots of similarities between Two Stacks and Killowen because it's cask finishing and it's integrity bottling and reducing. That's foremost of it.
Yeah, and a lot of it's done here on site as well. So
Yeah.
the guys are responsible for taking up half of our space that's non-existent in the first place.
Half of nothing still from So if you're coming to find Killowen, you really need to make sure you've downloaded your Google map, okay? Because the internet's reception down here is patchy at best. So get your map downloaded and find it because it's way up the lane. And if you do come up the lane and someone's coming down, there's lots of little places to pull in. Don't be panicking, but it's that kind of place.
You might have to reverse back a
You
bit.
might have to reverse back, but you're going to get up and now. Going to say bye-bye to Brendan. Anything you need to know, get on him. He's not that busy. He's normally sitting about doing very well. He's always busy. But you come down to Killowen because it's absolutely fantastic place. Absolutely marvellous.
Brilliant.
My, fantastic that was, Marty, wasn't it?
And I mean, anytime you talk to Brendan, I've this theory that anybody that's passionate about anything, it sort of feeds into it. If you can buy into somebody that's passionate about it, and you don't care about whiskey, you don't drink gin, you don't like rum, none of that. But when you talk to someone like Brendan, who's passionate about what he does, it's infectious. You just end up just being bowled over by it. Now, I brought down, and while this was on, because I hate watching myself on TV, I think, or watching myself on screen, so I basically buckered up. I got part of my Killowen collection.
Whoa.
Okay? I have more Killowen than I have of any other spirit, right? We managed to get my hands on the peat one, the peated pot jeans. I have all of the experimental cask mix. I have rum and raisin. Yeah, and there's a reason for it. This wonderful stuff, I've actually bought this as a gift for a friend of mine who's taking it to Kenya because she tasted it and thought it was absolutely amazing. So I bought her a bottle and she's going to take it to Kenya. And
I bought it for myself. Pretty special stuff, actually. You know, I bought it for myself from the Celtic whiskey shop. Now, listen, with some great questions today. We better bring in this. We better bring in this guy because time's marching on. Here he is. 3, 2, 1. You're in the room. Good evening.
And he's right in the room.
Hi guys.
Richard, how are you? Sorry for keeping you, but our timings have been off a little bit. But
It's fine. It's fine. That was a great video. It's fascinating, and it's so inspiring to see, you know, people, like you say, follow their passion. But you know, so much of what English whiskey is about is a similar story of those, you know, small distilleries cobbled together. You know, and it's a real passion project. So yeah, no, great to see.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you said it looks like Bimber if they had to put all their kit in the back of the van. People were saying amazing things there. They were saying, what height is Brendan or Justin and Marty vertically challenged? No, the camera had to be off to the side because I couldn't be in the way because he was working while we were there. He was taking deliveries, sending stuff out, speaking to people, answering the phone, all in between. And you might notice there's like these ghosting things, and that's the cuts of stuff happening. He is, you know, he sings the theme tune, right? The theme tune stars in the movie. It's like Dennis Waterman, you know.
Yeah, it's a remarkable place, and I've been there a few times now, and you're just blown away by how small everything is. And I'm sure it's the same for English whiskey, you know, that you're going to have some of the big guys pumping lots of money in, but you're also got the small artisan guys who do it on a wing and a prayer, really.
Yeah, and that's what's so exciting about the scene. And, you know, it's the same in America, the same in Ireland, but obviously, you know, I'm here to talk about English whiskey because that's what we're called, exploring English whiskey. And yeah, absolutely. The English whiskey scene is a mix of, you know, sort of, you know, English whiskey company who've been going for 15 years and a really solid, you know, established presence. You've got, you know, other big players like Lakes, Cotswolds, Spirits, but then you've got, you know, Cooper King, you've got Bimber, you know, Dartmoor, Henstone. I mean, Ludlow is probably the closest to Killowen in terms of like, you know, direct heat stills and, you know, sort of a passion project in the back of a barn. So yeah, it's very similar and, you know, real passion play.
Yeah, the English whiskey is coming on leaps and bounds. I mean, the first bottlings for Marks and Spencers for the English Whisky Company, they weren't good. Let's be honest, they were awful. And it was one of those where people went, right, guys, just leave it. We'll handle the whiskey stuff. But it's moved on leaps and bounds.
Yeah, and look, even now, if you're going to buy English whiskey, don't go to M&S to buy their bottle. Go to the distilleries directly. You know, they've got some really amazing stuff. And English Whisky Company have some amazing casks at the moment. You know, like they're really knocking out the park. And, you know, they've been around the longest and they know what they're doing. But, yeah, I mean, thanks for putting up our Facebook page. So people might have remembered us as what was called the English Whisky Society. So you made a slight nod to that earlier. When we became an incorporated business, we had to change our name. So we're now called Exploring English Whisky, but it's the same thing, the same principle, the same passion for English whisky. We've got about 85 members now who are sort of paid up to do our monthly tastings. We're doing our first tour next week of East London Distillery, which is great to be back IRL, I believe is the saying, in real life. Showing my age. When I saw that, I was like, what does that mean? Is that supposed to the tax revenue service or something?
Shouting on the kids. Shouting on the kids. What's this mean?
Independent local radio is what it originally meant.
So yeah, it's great to go. Great to be going back out and, you know, meeting people in person. You know, all of our members share that ethos of wanting to, you know, support, promote, and enjoy English whiskey. And it really is. You know, we did the festival last year and we had an amazing lineup. We have a phenomenal lineup this year. We've got some first release whiskies. We've got some first release new make spirits. We've got just things that will blow your socks off and blow your mind. And I can't wait I really can't wait for the 3rd and 4th of September to come around to share it all with people. But obviously before that, you know, I'm as busy as Brendan trying to organize a festival, and you'd think doing it online would be easy, but my God, it's not. It's really hard.
No, trust me, I've talked to Paul again for Belfast Whisky Week doing whiskey, and the guy's energy is fabulous. Again, it's that passion stuff. You just buy into this, you know. And if people realise just how much work putting up something like this is, and you're doing it yourself, so yeah. Now, explain the festival. What way is it going to work? How do people buy into it, and how can they get the stuff?
Yeah, so first of all, if you want to know more information, go to any of our social channels. So we've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We do also have exploringenglishwhiskey.co.uk website. It's a bit glitchy on mobile, but desktop it works brilliantly. But basically, the festival this year is going to be 6 discussion sessions, panel sessions. They're all on a different topics. We've got one that's all about Gradens, so all some amazing rye whiskies coming out. In fact, I've got a couple of bottles. This is really weird. A couple of bottles of Mercia, who are a new player, who have got some really, really amazing new make. And actually, the difference in colour is like 4 weeks behind me. I can't even. This is weird. I'm having to go the opposite way. But yeah, so Mercia, really exciting. But yeah, we've got great rye whiskies from Oxford Artisan Distillery and Circumstance and other players. And then we've got a chocolate session. So I'm going to try and do this properly now. Hey, we've got some chocolate from Le Coco, which is an artisanal, handmade, ethical, sustainable, amazing chocolatier in South London, paired with 4 amazing whiskies. So we've got a Cooper King, we've got a Bimbu, we've got an Englishman, we've got a Lakes. You do not want to miss that session.
Can I just say, I love the whiskey. Justin, take the chocolate. Justin, I wouldn't get a chance at to get the chocolate.
Say there's a promotional sample box over.
Well, so this is the one challenge we're having, and it's a real shame, is that because of the B word, which I'm so fed up of talking about, it's almost impossible to ship directly to people outside of the UK at the moment. So we're looking into ways of doing that. And for anyone in Ireland, for anyone on the continent, we want to be able to sell you tickets. We want you to come, but we will let you know when we've kind of
well, as far as we know, we're still in the UK. We're actually going to burn the place down this weekend to make sure.
I've got to chuck them over something in some border in the Irish Sea. That's the problem.
Well, put it like this: there's a bonfire not that far away from me that they've built to celebrate the fact that Northern Ireland is still the UK. It's 149 feet high. There's 17,000 wooden pallets on it. It's enormous. It's just crazy. But,
football's coming home, but there'll be nowhere to come home to because you'll have burnt it down.
Now, tomorrow night, you might want to celebrate.
It's not coming home. It's not coming home.
Unless it's got a residence visa in Rome, then possibly it's coming home. No, now, Richard, don't mean to slag this.
We hope it does, actually. We hope it does.
I support all the home nations. I support all the home nations, the Republic, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Support them all. But I do think it's Rona hiding to nothing tomorrow night. I think the Italians are good. But can you please ask Gary Lineker, ask all them commentators to stop referencing 1966 for us, because they were showing it in colour on Channel 4 tonight. It's 55 bloody years ago. Do you know what I mean? Right, enough. Let it pass, let it slide. But no.
I've got to tell it, Richard, this. I've actually met Jack Charlton in a previous life, and I've also met Jeff Hurst in another previous life. Jack Charlton was a far nicer man, but there you go.
Look, the thing for me is that kind of sepia-tinted nostalgia for 55 years ago. We didn't have English whiskey 55 years ago. It's 15 years old. We have a new England, a new future.
Exactly.
Like let's stop talking about the past. Let's talk about what's happening now. And what's happening now is really exciting. And I hope everyone raises a glass of whatever they're enjoying tomorrow night, irrespective of the result. Because to be fair, and I don't want to get political, but this team have won already because they have shown themselves to be a completely different class to previous generations of footballers. So I'll drink to that.
Yes.
Yeah. So salute you to that. I mean, Harry Kane. The guys come on there. Raheem Sterling comes on, and the guys come on, and they're fairly articulate, clever guys, and they're talking like that. They're not coming on as some.
We're talking about football, and we're gaining viewers. We should be talking about whiskey.
I mean, that's the extent of my football knowledge. So we should probably stop there.
Mark Stevens has made a bloody good point. By the way, this really irks us. Stop playing Sweet Caroline. That's something the English FA ban that. Right, ban that. That's our tune. That's Northern Ireland's tune.
I'll have a word.
Now, you say it's the 3rd and 4th of September. The festival starts. There are how many sessions?
6.
6. And how many distilleries? 18?
So we've got 27 distilleries taking part and 3 independent bottlers. So this is the first for us as well. We've got Boutique Whiskey, who've got a Home Nations whiskey series coming out. We've got the Single Cask, and we've got Gulliver's 47, who exclusively bottle English whiskey, which is quite an unusual and unique thing. And the great thing about the bottlers session, if anyone's had a look at our listing for the different sessions, the great thing about that session is they are pretty much all cask strength. So if you want to go for the session that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, the independent bottler session, which we're calling bottling it, is definitely the one for those kind of high ABV heads out there.
Yeah, a single session is $27.50.
Yeah. The chocolate session's slightly more expensive, $32.50, because obviously you're getting some amazing chocolate as well as whiskies. But yeah, $27.50 plus specialty packaging.
And to buy it's the full English, if memory serves. It's full English, it's called.
Yeah, £130 for the whole lot. And obviously the great thing there is not only do you get a discount, but you also save on postage. So it's a win-win situation. Just buy the lot, and you don't have to choose either. None of that faffing around trying to work it out. Just buy it all, do the whole weekend, and we've given you the Sunday to recuperate.
Yeah, thanks very much. Now, the English distilleries, they are gathering apace. Is there more coming? We keep hearing about Bimber bringing out a release, and the White Peaks and all these other distilleries. But are there more in the pipeline?
So the English whiskey map in a year has gone from, I think, 24 distilleries to 33, but there are distilleries that aren't on the map. Some that are known to exist but have asked not to be referenced there yet. The map, by the way, is produced by Cooper King, so a phenomenal project. They're kind of modern day archivists as well as just modern day legends. Yeah, there's 33 on the map, but I pretty much get a phone call once a month from someone setting up an English distillery wanting to have a chat. So there are so many. I mean, there's some that are going to be really different to anything else you've seen, but I can't say anything about it yet. But we've also got like larger corporations getting in on it as well. We've got the Blackpool Distillery now producing a kind of bourbon style, although obviously can't be called bourbon. So they've just released a kind of a precursor to that. So yeah, it's such an exciting time, and pretty much I think there's only 2 or 3 counties in England left that don't have a distillery. So if you live in one of them, you want to get on it pretty quickly.
Has there been any consolidation yet in English whiskey? Has anybody joined up with anybody else, or is it still friendly rivalry?
There's never been rivalry. So actually, it's been a really supportive industry. Down at Cotswolds, Dave up at Spirit of Yorkshire, they have welcomed people through their doors who want to set up a distillery and talk about how they did it. And it's been a really, whiskey in general is such a lovely community, but English whiskey is kind of an exemplar of that. There are conversations happening behind the scenes. Again, it's not my place to talk about it, but there is going to be something that if the distilleries choose to take part, we'll bring them together and form a more official, collective. But if you want to know all about the latest distilleries, the latest releases, then you could do worse than following us or becoming a member, and then we'll keep you up to date. So,
absolutely. Now, how much is it to become a member?
It's only £20 a year, and you'll literally pay that off in 2 tasting sessions. So, we're not here to make loads of money. This is a hobby for me at the moment. It's really more just to get people who are committed to the cause, so that we can really give those people a really great experience, and also, show the distilleries that we've got a committed English whiskey niche that they're going to benefit from as well.
Yeah. People talk about Irish whiskey and the amount of distilleries that are opening up, and I've heard industry people saying, where are these guys going to get traction for Irish whiskey? But there's loads and loads of people drinking whiskey now, many more than ever have done before. And the fact that England is basically level pegging with Ireland, it's a bit like the Cheltenham Festival. England and Ireland, they're nearly neck and neck here as regards to how many distilleries are opening up. And as I've said to you before, it's Ireland have their technical file, which protects their brand, if you like. But England's like the Wild West. They're like the US. They can do what they like and still call it English whiskey, albeit within certain parameters, but they can still call it English whiskey.
Yeah, I mean, I think we only have to adhere to the EU law, which is, basically, ingredients, 3 years in a cask of, oak cask, and the distillation process. So it is the Wild West, and that's great because that that pushes innovation. We've got a Copper Rivet column malt, which Scotch and Irish Scotch couldn't call it a column malt; they'd have to call it a single grain, even if it was a barley mash going into that. So we've got some really interesting products coming out, and yes, there's a little bit of a sense of uncertainty over should there be more regulation, should there be some kind of basic minimum requirements for English whiskey, but we're in such early days that I personally think let everyone experiment and see where the dust settles.
But like us, talk to Brendan, Brendan and see what he talks about. But no, it really is an exciting time for English whiskey, and it has come on in leaps and bounds, because anyone who has told you tasted that guff about 10 years ago in Marks and Spencer's, it really wasn't good. And now everything's just moved on, and any of the English whiskies I've tasted have been really, really good. And haven't, don't get me wrong, I haven't tasted that many, but any of them have been up there with anything else. I mean, they stand as up there with Irish, Scottish, Japanese, and it's nice to see a different take on things coming out. For you, what's I know you have to sort of be diplomatic about the thing, but what's your favorite expression? What would be your, if you had to convince Justin, bearing in mind that Justin likes his food and his cocktails, if you had to convince Justin this is something exciting that you could take as an Irish or an English whiskey, what would you offer to him?
I mean, obviously, there's so much amazing stuff. I've got a single cask English whiskey from the English Whisky Company from last year's festival, which I'm trying not to finish because it's just so sublime. It's peaty, dirty, and rich. I mean, that Ludlow, the little bottle behind me, that's their cask strength, which actually they're not going to sell the cask strength anymore. They're sort of changing their approach. So if you were here tonight, I would give you a little sample of that because it's so unique, and it literally it's run its course. It's not going to exist as a product anymore. So and Ludlow are really interesting because they are so small, and you get those. Every batch is slightly different, and you get that kind of real from the heart into every bottle. So if you were here today, I'd start with a Ludlow, but we'd work our way through, and you'd try a bit of everything. So we love it.
Magic is saying we'll never have the time, health, and money to try all the whiskey in the world, but you can make a good damn attempt, can't you?
Yeah, and
the thing is, if you sign up for a festival, it gives you a chance at small samples, reasonably priced, so you can cover a lot of area with a festival.
Yeah, absolutely. And the festival's a great way to enter it. But what we're trying to do with the membership is, you can't go back 150 years to taste the first new make of a Scotch distillery or some of the bigger Irish distilleries. You can do that today with English whiskey, and you can go on a journey with these much smaller craft operators like Brendan at Killowen, and really be part of that journey and sort of taste every expression and really become part of their community. And that's so important, I think, for drinkers today is, English whiskey is not making a dent on, the Diageos and the Pernod Ricards and the Erdington Beam Santeros. Like those guys, they are still going to sell a hell of a lot of whiskey. What we're talking about here is people who are maybe coming into whiskey afresh or coming, from other dark spirits, who want to try something that they get to be part of that brand story, in the way some of the rums have really kind of had those strong communities around music or culture. And I think English whiskey and Irish whiskey do that, where these young emerging distilleries give you a chance to really be part of their story, and that's really magical.
And that's the difference between whiskey and every other spirit. Possibly rum, possibly, but it's the difference between whiskey and everything else. You can buy into Killowen, you can buy Bimber or Ludlow or any of those distilleries, possibly have some tenuous connection to it. And my grandfather was from East London or whatever, that kind of thing. But you can buy into it, and because of the nature of whiskey and the aging and that process, it gives you a totally different outlook, and you buy into people, and the people in whiskey are just fabulous. You talk about how the whiskey industry is really a nice industry to be in, and English whiskey is going to be exactly the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, for people that want to have that real proximity to the distilleries and really go on that journey, I have to call out a website called Still in Cask. I'll drop the link into the chat in a minute, but we're working with them, but we're waiting for some regulatory stuff in the background. But basically, you can buy a share in a cask direct from a distillery, and they've got some amazing casks already on there. It's a new platform, but it's gonna absolutely sing, absolutely fly. It's based on the blockchain, which for anyone who like me didn't really understand what that was. Essentially, it's a ledger where for every purchase there's a unique code that no one can duplicate or copy or do anything with. So when you own that share in the cask that links to a bottle in the future when it's matured, that's yours and yours alone. So it's a great system. It's really simple to use, but it means you get to own a bottle or 10 bottles in a cask that you'll get to have those bottles in 5-10 years time, and they'll you'll be able to go on that journey that a lot of people would love to go on but can't afford a whole cask. So
does that does that explain cryptocurrency and whiskey to you, Marty? Does it?
No, Justin, it just doesn't explain. I have no clue. You tried to explain Bitcoin to me. I haven't a baldy what you're talking about. That's the truth. If I can't drink it, I'm not sure of what it means.
Steve Laidlaw is one of our members. Hi, Steve. Good to see you tonight. And Still in Cask is great, and our members are using it already. But I think the great thing is that you can just have a little bit of ownership of things across multiple distilleries and just go on those different journeys. So.
And the thing about it is, there are now more and more avenues opening up for people to get. We did the story at the start about the guy 30 years ago buying a cask of Macallan, and it's worth £250,000.
Lucky bugger.
That's what I thought too.
Fair enough. But the thing is, he took a chance, and obviously that style of things probably dying away a bit. You'd need to be very lucky to do that now, looking forward. But to buy into a distillery, to buy into that bottling, to buy into that history at the start, is something unique that's not, you can't really put a price on, because you're buying into a story that's coming up,
Now, Belfast Whisky Week have done a view-only option on their system. I think it's £6 or something, just a view. John Dunn has asked, where is your festival tasting shown? YouTube, Facebook, or is it a special hop-in thing or something?
No, it will be on YouTube, possibly also Facebook. But yeah, we were on YouTube last year, and it was a private code. We'll do the same again this year. So yes, we will be making tickets available just for access, but they'll be available a little bit close to the time. We've obviously got a lot of logistics around tasting packs and packing and shipping. Although I must mention that our bottling this year is being done by the amazing team at Ignition Brewery. So they're very close to my heart and close to my home, which helps. They're a not-for-profit social enterprise here in South London, and they employ people with learning disabilities on the living wage. So their normal job is to brew and bottle and sell beer, but they're helping us out by doing the bottling and labelling and packaging of all the tasting packs. So you're supporting a great business and a great social enterprise with every pack purchase, so an extra bonus.
Hey, no, congratulations on that, because it's nice to see people doing things that's practical for people who are slightly disadvantaged. Now, going forward, English whiskey, you're telling me that there's more and more distilleries coming on board. Okay, when are we going to see English whiskey starting to overtake Irish whiskey? Or do we need to go the Cheltenham route again as the rest of that before?
I do like the idea of having a head-to-head, but look, I mean, I don't know if you're aware of, when you mentioned the Chase earlier, I thought you were talking about Chase Distillery, because of course Chase have whiskey. They've had it, I think they've got sort of 9 years worth of stock, but they've just been bought out by Diageo, so it'll be interesting to see what Diageo do with that, because they very much bought a white spirits brand that just happens to have a fair few casks knocking around of whiskey. So yeah, keep an eye on that one. But yeah, look, I think there are some big plans for a couple of the distilleries on the horizon. I think we're going to start to see bigger production volumes in England, not to Scotch levels, but still it's going to be interesting when we have producers that are edging into the millions rather than the thousands. So yeah, it'll be an interesting time.
Well, put it like this, once the likes of Diageo get on board, at the flick of a switch, things can just escalate. And having a British Isles brand, if you like, where you can fly into Heathrow, go and do a couple of whiskey distilleries there, head up to the Midlands, go and do a couple there, maybe head over to Wales, do Pinderra and a few there, and head up Scotland, and then come over to Ireland and all the way through. I mean, what's not to like? You've all these modern day Alfred Bernard's heading round. the amount of whiskey trail books that's going to come out in the next while are going to be just unbelievable.
Well, look, we've got plans for next year to do a physical festival. We'd love to do it in real life and see people and bring the distilleries together, because obviously there's been very little opportunity for them to do that as well. I feel for our fellow kin in Wales and to some extent you guys over in Northern Ireland. So we've offered the Welsh broom cupboard. I'm happy to put a shed outside for the Irish to come and be part of the English Whisky Festival next year. I don't think that's going to cause any issues at all.
Well, but I guess if you ever see Brendan at Killowen Smokehouse, any space at all, Brendan's happy with.
I know, you could literally just fit him in a portal, he'd be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, Rob, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you as always. All the best with the festival. I hope it goes well. And if you do sort out the shipping to other places, I know you said you're going to, but if you can sort out that, let us know and we'll happily post it up. And all the best. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
And we've got one great question. I can't let you go without asking this, because Murray knows all about this. September the 7th, 2005. Better date to remember, Marty. Northern Ireland beating England at Windsor. Tell them about the cup, Marty.
No, there's a couple of things about that date, because I was sitting playing poker at the time. And honestly, this is exactly what happened. We're sitting playing poker, and all you hear was this sort of rumbling as David Healy had picked up the ball. And everybody just turned around. And we watched this day when he scored a goal. And everybody jumped up, the chips and all went flying. And it was like, oh, fuck, I don't know what the hell we were. But my uncle Noel tells a fabulous story of this. The Internations Cup, when they used to play Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England used to play. The last winners of that were Northern Ireland. But the English FA had paid for the trophy. So about 3 years after Northern Ireland won it, they'd stopped playing the tournament. And the English FA had phoned up the Irish FA and said, "Can we get the trophy back?" And I said, "That's not how it works. You have to actually win it before we give it back to you." So we still have it. So if you want to play a couple of, we'll start up the Internations Cup and we'll get it back again. But,
I love the irony that we won't give the Greeks their marbles back, but we want that cup. Give us the cup.
We want the cup back. No, that's not how it works.
Well, as you know, because of tomorrow night, we don't have much in the trophy cabinet, so I can understand why.
No, I put it like this. I'd really love to see England win it tomorrow night. If anything, just to change the date from 66 to 20.
Stop hearing three lions.
Yeah, it's come home. Shut up. Shut up. And stop paying them guys. Stop paying Badine and Skinner. Justin's just brought up a picture of Brendan's smokehouse. This is it. What is it? It's about 2x2 shed, something like that.
I don't know what it is. Can you see it there, Richard? Can now. It is. It looks like a toilet. It looks like the dunny, but it's not. It's not. It's very
Smokey's whiskey. But he put it like this. If he produces stuff like this, I bought this as it's a great idea on his part. The poaching came out, sold out immediately. And then what he did was he brought out little miniatures. So you get two sets of miniatures. These ones you can open and these ones you can keep. If you want to open them up later on, or if you want to keep them as a collectible and talk to your wee Steve. But that's the sort of thing that he does. Richard, thank you very much. We'll catch up with you again sometime soon.
Thanks,
and all the best, mate. Take care.
Cheers.
Take it easy, everybody. Remember to comment, like, and share, and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already done so. Watch the show live on Facebook Saturdays 10 p.m. and also repeat on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. Good luck to England tomorrow night. I'm going around the neighbours for a big shindig in his bar. So good evening.